What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is building on yesterday's video, which was all about brand armor, or step one in the full fashion brand system or fashion brand vault system. And today we're going over step two, which is the identity blueprint. This is, in my opinion, the most important module here. I think a lot of people skip this. They skip the brand armor too, but if you skip the identity blueprint and then go straight to making content or go straight to marketing and try running paid ads, which we'll get to in the next videos, so like and subscribe. But if you skip these and then try to go straight to the later steps, you end up wasting a lot of money and a lot of energy, and then that's when I see a lot of brands quit or when they decide they need to do this crazy rebrand or pivot. If you can nail this, you will avoid problems at every other step of the way. If you want to get the entire fashion brand vault system with all of the modules and all of the Notion templates and videos, you can get it at the link in the description. I look forward to seeing you in there and connecting with you. And if you're really just a beginner, you can get the free version of the Fashion Brand Vault. There's a starter kit in here with maybe 2.5 hours of video content, and then there's an upsell for you to join the pros in FBV Pro. So check both of those out if it applies to you, and let's connect. What is going to differentiate you from competitors? What is going to make you stand out in the market? And what's going to make it easy for people to remember your brand and not just lose you in a sea of all the other fashion brands that are popping up these days? I've broken it down to a pretty simple system. Unique brand identity equals logo, typography, and color palette, and then spread consistently across all channels: social media, press and editorial, the website, and the packaging. If you could do all these things, then it will create a unique brand identity. If you watched yesterday's video, you know all about this little fake brand that I've been building called Sugar Baby, with these pastel clothes and some AI generated images and videos. This is just like a test brand. I think that making mock-ups and test brands is a great way to practice being a brand owner and a creative director. So yesterday we filled out the brand tone, the audience and ideal customer avatar. So we really just started putting together how we wanted the brand to look, how we wanted the brand to feel, how we wanted the brand to sound, and then put together some mock-ups. I'll end up building the full email marketing and paid ads campaign in another whiteboard. I'm actually also thinking about doing a little like Shopify live build. So here is the example of the Sugar Baby logo, at least the logo that I'm rocking with for now. So that's the logo. I'll check off the logo box. Next, for typography, I picked Inter as the headline and Helvetica Neue as the body font. So that's typography. And then color palette. So I have this pink, white, light blue or baby blue, and black. And then I added a little heart in the center because I wanted to do like a heart on black design. But as you'll see in this video, I'm going to talk with an AI consultant and maybe refine this down. And then just the diamonds, because I wanted it to feel a little more wealthy, give an immediate upper class vibe with the diamonds. So that's the color palette. Determining the logo typography and color palette can be brainstormed with AI. However, when it comes to such visual topics, it's really good to trust your gut. I think I'm starting to see too many people get lost just following whatever ChatGPT suggests, especially if you aren't prompt engineering or adding like a custom XML prompt like I provide in the Skool group. Chances are the AI is not going to have enough context, and it'll probably lead you in the wrong direction. So trust your gut, trust your taste. Those things take time to develop and practice. But the more that you do this, the better you'll get at it. I am biased, but I personally like to use my Notion Vault for completing these different sections step by step, like the mood board and aesthetic direction, the color palette builder, the typography planner, brand touch point tracker. Basically, what each one of these little modules is a workspace that you can fill out, and it comes with a pre-built AI assistant. So you can feed the AI information about your brand, like your idea for your aesthetic direction and your color palette, and you can upload maybe a mood board that you made, and then the consultant can help walk you through your ideas. If you can dial all of these in, the brand is going to look extremely consistent, and it will be easy for you to manage all of these different platforms. You save these in some kind of database, whether that's a Notion database or a Google Drive. And then that way there's just one source of truth for your whole design system. Because that's really what we're building here, is not just a unique brand identity, but an entire design system that we can then apply to every aspect of the brand for consistency. I have a ton of info about design systems and examples from other big brands like Represent. I break down Balenciaga's e-commerce experience in depth and more. So be sure to join the pro group if you want access to all of this info. But for now, I'm just going to give you like a little taste of my notes about design systems and logos and typographies and color palettes specifically. When you are creating a logo or picking typography styles for your brand, there are really two main styles that you can pick from, and those are serif and sans serif. Serif has these little embellishments on the edges of the letters, and sans serif fonts do not. Serif styles are a little more traditional looking, and serif styles are a little more modern. Here you can see a bunch of different examples from famous luxury brands. Ralph Lauren uses, Valentino uses, Lacoste sans serif, and so on. NASA has a really awesome document called the Graphic Standards Manual. It's a government document. It was built in the 1970s. Basically, it details the exact specifications that NASA or anyone collaborating with NASA would need to use in order to protect the integrity of the brand. The logo is an exact size on a grid. Then the logo has a specific type scale. So these are the only sizes of the logo that are ever used. If you want to check this out, it's in the document. I also listed some cool Figma plugins that allow you to generate type scales really easily. And I have this section where you can look at all of my different logos that I used for my brand path list of things over the years, and then check out where I'm at now. For color, I really like to use palettes like this that have some sort of white, black, and gray palette with a loud contrasting color like this blue or like this green. With Sugar Baby, I did something simple. I like whites and blacks, and then some kind of loud pastel like this pink, or I use this blue as a loud accent as well. And I think that this little bubblegum cotton candy combo works really well. It's a timeless combination. The one thing I think so far that doesn't really fit is this pink on black, but I think I'll probably change that. In the group and in this document, I include a pretty awesome prompt for Claude. It's an AI that will extract color palettes from your favorite images. I just took a bunch of Ralph Lauren editorial images, and then I fed them into Claude, and then it generated these color palettes. And then I like to save these color palettes in Figma, so I've been building like a little bit of a library of color palettes related to my favorite editorial images. This is the color palette that I use for my own fashion brand. It's pretty simple. I stay away from reds and greens, only shades and hues of blue, black, and gray. Represent has a pretty simple design system. They have an emblem and they have a word mark, and then those are just used on everything. It's either the emblem or the word mark, one or the other, and that's it. It never deviates from this. 247 Represent has its own set of logos and whatever. But for mainline represent, this is all you're going to see, and that's on purpose. The Instagram posts and the Instagram reels are extremely art directed, and their color palette is used consistently. Both founders are super synced up. Their images are art directed and edited very similarly. They have matching profile pictures. Then the website, Facebook, Twitter, and emails showcase the same imagery, same color palette, same typography, and same logos. So for Sugar Baby, if I were to try and emulate that, as you can see here, this logo is the same. I'm never going to have a different Sugar Baby logo. This logo is the same as over here. I picked Inter and Helvetica New as the fonts. So these fonts here, the headline and body fonts, are Inter and Helvetica New, and they're applied consistently every single time. I'm not using any other fonts for any of the brand imagery. And I'm also not using any other colors or any other logo. That's what I'm trying to drive home. It's all for consistency. If your brand doesn't look consistent, it's going to look amateur. If your brand looks amateur, it's not going to make any money. So make sure that your identity blueprint, design system, whatever you want to call it, is dialed in. Follow these steps and use my Notion template. Speaking of Notion templates, here is one section called the Color Palette Builder. If you're in the Fashion Brand Vault, the Notion Vault, and you scroll down to Brand Design System, it's right here in Color Palette Builder. When you come to that little section, you'll see this workspace where you can add all your visual color references, extract and experiment with color swatches. So that's like the Claude prompt that I put in the group. You can also get a ChatGPT prompt in this Notion system. Both are great. So we're going to use this prompt here in the Notion template for our little Sugar Baby exercise. So it says, here's my brand palette so far with hex codes and rough rolls, and then I'm going to paste the tablet and swatch notes in the chat. And then I'm going to say, is this color palette cohesive and versatile? What tone does it communicate? What tweaks would you recommend to better match my brand values and aesthetic? Okay, so let's copy that directly from the template. Then I'm going to go over to this identity blueprint custom GPT project that we configured with the system prompt in the FBV Pro group. So if you want the instructions for this custom GPT yourself, you can sign up for FBV Pro and grab them. So let's paste that prompt in here. It says, here's my brand palette so far with hex codes and rough rolls. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this palette here and then drag it into the chat. I can grab the hex codes here in Figma. So this one is FC8, FC4. I'll paste that in there. Then we have white, which is just F a bunch of times. Then we have this baby blue color. Paste that here. And then this charcoal black color is the last one. I'll say I attached an image of the palette. Is this color palette cohesive and versatile? What tone does it communicate? And then let's ask something like that after we see what it says here in the initial conversation. Okay, now it's writing the analysis. Cohesiveness. Pink. Visual role. Hero accent / emotional hook. Sits in the red-violet range, so it bridges warm and cool palettes. Pairs cleanly with both the baby blue and charcoal. Nice. White gives the pastels room to breathe. Baby blue, secondary accent, a low saturation cyan that complements the pink without fighting it. Charcoal prevents the scheme from drifting into Instagram pastel mush. I never really thought about it that way. Diamonds for texture, not a color. Yeah, that's true. It's good that it picked that up. Adds literal sparkle, but it's a material, not a hue. Treat it like foil stamping or emotion overlay, not an everyday brand color. That's a great point. Overall, the set hangs together because every shade is either very light or very dark, nothing mid-tone. So hierarchy is clear and contrast is strong. So that would explain why I like these types of palettes. Personally, I gravitate towards palettes that are either very light or very dark or a mixture. No midtones. That's a personal thing that I'm now actually just realizing about myself as a creative director. This is already a really good thing for me to practice myself, even though I built these Notion templates and I sell them. I still use them myself. It's not like I just made them for other people. First and foremost, I made them for myself so I can get better at creative directing other brands and my own brand. Next critique, versatility with positives and watchouts or negatives. Positives, digital UI, the charcoal on pink, blue, white hits AAA contrast easily. Text legibility won't suffer. Print and packaging, pastels can shift when printed CMYK, but your dark anchor prevents a washed out look. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So basically, if the logo is black against a pink polymailer or light blue polymailer, even if the shade of the pink or blue gets washed out or something just because of the nature of packaging and how it works, like it will still be easy to read because it's a black logo on a light color. Seasonal range, swapping in deeper tones of the same hues lets you create autumn winter variants without rebranding. Okay, cool. So give me some specific hex codes here. Let's load those into Figma and see. So here's a darker version of the pink. It's not much of a difference. What else we got? 6BB3F6. Okay, yeah, that's not much of a difference either. Really, we could go even darker with it. This blue can be maybe like this color, and then this pink can be like even this color, and then now that's a winter. So we could have like spring, summer, and then the fall, winter. Something to think about. Okay, now let's read some of the things to watch out for. Pastel on pastel, pink text on blue or vice versa, fails accessibility and can look juvenile. Okay, I had no intention of putting pink on blue. But yeah, let's actually test that and just see, just so like, that's easy to read. That's easy to read. Black on light pastel color, like that's easy. But let's say this was blue and now this one was pink. That's way harder to see and looks juvenile. I agree. This looks like a little kid brand. But the black on the light color, this is easy to read and it definitely looks a little bit more mature. Okay, then we see some tone and brand signals, playful optimism, approachable luxury, modern confidence. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty in line with what we were saying over here. Playfully ambitious was like a big, or the number one thing we listed here for brand tone. So that's good. Playful optimism. That's what a new chat thinks of our palette without even looking at the garment mockups. So now I think it'll be a good opportunity to actually feed it what we've already been working on and say something along the lines of, here's my mockup. Does this work with the palette that I sent you that we've been discussing? So let's do that now. Let's just we'll add just the clothing mockups for now. And then we can do some of the on model mockups. And then I'll do these too. Yeah, okay, so it's like that. Here are two garment mockups using that palette. What do you think? Is it cohesive? And I think I just used ChatGPT's image generation for these garment mockups. They looked like this originally, and then I removed the background and then spiced them up a little bit. But then the rest of the human model AI generated images, we're done with Midjourney. Okay, here we go. Color-wise, yes, but you're only using 60% of the palette. Design-wise, they sit in the same aesthetic family, but a few details are tugging them apart. Here's the granular look. Both garments rely on a single pastel field plus a tiny white or light accent, so your eye reads them as siblings. Neither introduces an outside hue, avoiding palette creep, but why cohesion can break down in a larger line. Without the charcoal anchor, a full rack of pastels can look like different brands sharing a rail. Okay. Diamond, the luxury signifier, is only applied through the zipper's shine. It's not yet a recognizable brand element. That's a good point. So I wanted to include this diamond here as part of the visual identity. But I agree, I haven't really incorporated anything that tackles this vibe necessarily. So how can we fix that? Thread charcoal into the trim language, standardize hardware plating. For future styles, explore a subtle diamond quilt stitch or a mini heat emboss of the stone facets. That's pretty cool. Silhouette and construction rhythm. The silhouettes are both athletic sundress, but texture talk is split. Sport Tech plus Y2K Club Energy, blue cottagecore trim on a clean rib, reads sweeter and softer. If the brand promise is playful luxury for social status, decide which direction is your hero dialect and bring the other piece 15% close. Examples: give the blue dress a charcoal contrast, top stitch, or a tiny metal logo rivet to echo the zipper hardware. Soften the pink sportiness by binding the armholes in white or adding a micro frill to nod back to the blue. Okay. The neckline and armholes are consistent for both dresses, which is good. For the waist treatment, the pink dress is paneled with a seam, and the blue dress, as you can see here, has a fully fashioned rib, so different shaping language. Maybe we could tie that together. Surface texture, perforated dots and smooth scuba. Blue dress, vertical rib. Competing stories. Feature detail, explosive, functional, sporty, frilled, binding, decorative, and girly. Divergent vibe. So now I'm starting to see the details just by reading this. I'm starting to see that even from first glance, these look like they fit really well together. But when I really dissect it and I see here the silhouette and construction rhythm, I'm seeing how different they actually are. So I'll keep that in mind. Let's just keep reading for now. Brand system signals: playful optimism, approachable luxury. Playful optimism strength is high. We're going to keep that. Approachable luxury strength is medium, needs more consistency. Define a rule set for hardware finish and diamond graphic hits. Okay, yeah, so improving the trims like the zippers and waistbands, anything that fastens a piece of fabric to another piece of fabric, those should all be high quality metal hardware. Gender fluid edge, introduce unisex piece in charcoal to triangulate palette. I don't know about the unisex thing. I think I want to focus on this being a women's wear brand. But what ChatGPT doesn't know is that we already did a charcoal set. So after I finish reading, I'm going to feed the charcoal set into the AI and then we can discuss more. Modern confidence as a brand trait. Strength medium, push charcoal detailing for punch. Yeah, more charcoal is going to add confidence and not make it feel as juvenile. Verdict and next moves. Overall cohesion 7.5 out of 10. You've nailed chromatic harmony, but cohesion will drift once you scale unless you lock a dark anchor into every SKU. Pick one texture story, tech sport versus soft rib, or create a rule about how they coexist. Systemize the diamond touch. Decide whether it's a graphic icon, a foil hit, or simply the brand standard metal finish. Do that and the line will read like a deliberate collection, not two cute dresses that just happen to vibe. Okay, cool. So this was pretty epic, not gonna lie. It's giving me a lot to think about, a lot to change, a lot to work on. I want to bring this up from a 7.5 to a 10. I'm probably going to do a lot of homework on this off camera, and then for tomorrow's video, I'm trying to do a video every day this week. So for tomorrow's video, I'll probably address a bunch of these things, and then we'll talk about sourcing fabrics and making the designs like tech packs, stuff like that. But first, before we do that, let's load in the black set that I had mocked up here. So I'm just going to add those images into this chat. Okay, I got 4 images in here. I'm going to say, here's a mock-up of a sportier piece that uses the charcoal color as well as a darker pink. What do you think about this? Does this fall into place or does it feel random? Assessing design cohesion. Okay. Snap judgment. It slots in, but only if you frame it as the performance edge expression of the palette rather than a wholesale new direction. Right now, it feels 70% aligned, 30% surprise. A few surgical tweaks would nudge it into the same family without diluting the sport statement. Palette integration. Let me pull up the images here. The charcoal as a dominant body fabric works. Perfect anchor finally grounds the pastels. Keep it. Okay, great. Original pink is absent. Used a hotter raspberry stitch. Off-brand saturation shift. So this color, this top stitch color, this hot pink background doesn't tie in as much with the blue and the baby pink. I guess we can get away with this background a little bit more, but this top stitch needs to be consistent with the pink here. Next, the blue is not present. That's true, and it's fine. They're optional per SKU. So maybe a micro label or interior facing in baby blue to echo the pastel story. So yeah, maybe we can add like a little tag on it with the logo in baby blue against white or against black. That might work. Diamond motif / hardware, silver zipper, gloss snaps. So this is good. Lock zipper finish across all styles for coherence. Can even probably upgrade the quality of those trims, make them silver and not just like a gunmetal gray or a metallic gray. Key call out, the vivid magenta stitching does not connect chromatically to your pastel pink. It's the same hue, just 3 to 4 stops deeper. So let's check that out. And I agree, it's pink, but it's way deeper, which creates a different vibe, in my opinion. If you plan to repeat that exact thread and embroidery color on every charcoal piece, it will read as intentional night mode version of the palette. If it shows up only here, it'll look like a random fabric mill default. It's a good point. Silhouette and detail language. The core shape, the crop zip top, that works. Flat lock style contrast stitching, that works. So this sport set here is missing the sweetness that the other pieces had, and instead goes for more of a sleek, athletic vibe with the piping. So the ruffles and the polka dots here add the quote-unquote sweetness. There's something I could do, I think, to make this set feel a little sweeter. Maybe we'll definitely change the magenta like we've been discussing, but maybe also take out the lines and the piping and then either add back in some polka dots. Maybe we make that more of a theme, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it more. ChatGPT gave me a suggestion with a recurring curvy linear panel line across all styles. I can mock that up with the AI. Brand story continuity. Playful optimism could be more assertive. Need to keep the hardware polished and not matte to reinforce luxury. GPT keeps bringing up the unisex components, but I don't think that's really my vision for this hypothetical project. And modern confidence is very high in the sports set because it's pretty much all black. So here's a step-by-step action plan for tying the visual identity in together. The thread color for the pastel collection and the sport collection should be the same. So I can change this magenta-ish color to this pink pastel color here. And it can match this product. Add a baby blue bar tack on an interior pocket or size label so every piece carries at least one secondary. That's a great idea. I like how it considers this an Easter egg continuity device. Graphic consistency. Replace the heart with the same diamond facet icon you'll deploy elsewhere. Or lock the heart as the sport line mark and place the diamond on all core styles. I don't think I would do that considering Comme des Garçons Play uses the red heart. Currently, you've got both heart and diamond floating around as brand signifiers. Pick one per tier. So I'll probably just stick with the diamond. Lookbook sequencing. Shoot the charcoal cord sandwiched between the pink and blue dresses in a split backdrop to visually narrate the bridge. That's a good idea. So the final verdict is either codify this hotter magenta pink as a deliberate thing, like a one-off piece, but I don't want to do that. So instead, I'll probably replace it with the baby pink from the other piece. And this will feel random if it's the only piece with magenta stitching, so definitely going to change the magenta stitching. And it'll feel random if I start mixing hardware finishes on future dark pieces. So I'll just keep the trims the same. So same color top stitching for pretty much all the pieces and same hardware and trims. All right, so now I have more homework to do on this sugar baby project. In tomorrow's video, I'll come back after having done that homework and we'll go deeper into the actual garment design and maybe we'll cook up a little collection using Midjourney and some AI generating tools. And then we'll put that here in this whiteboard and then I can update it in the pro group. So that's a perfect segue if you want access to all these whiteboards in my systems and more videos and access to Q&As and you want to DM me about your project and all that good stuff, join FBV Pro, link in the description. If there's a topic you want me to cover in a future video, leave a comment and I'll see you in the next one.